32 in ongoing FIFA World Cup in Mexico, US and Canada. Details as we analyze the chances of the 9 African teams going forward. Also in the bulletin, Kintampo Police MTTD installs 8 giant signposts to reduce fatal crashes and improve safety along deadly highway stretch. And Chief of Naval Staff calls for modern technology and infrastructure to strengthen Ghana Navy against emerging maritime security threats. Many thanks for joining us. Let's begin the bulletin from here. And Africa has achieved its greatest ever performance at the FIFA World Cup, with 9 of the 10 representatives advancing to the round of 32 in the expanded 2026 tournament. The historic feat eclipses every previous African show at the global showpiece and underlines the continent's growing strength on the world football stage. Morocco, who were semi-finalists in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, continued their impressive rise after their historic win. South Africa reached the World Cup knockout stage for the first time. Algeria, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Senegal, Cabo Verde, and Democratic Republic of the Congo also booked their places among the final 32. Let's get on Zoom now and engage Sadiq Adams, also known as Sports Obama, and he's a sports analyst. Sadiq, thank you for your time this afternoon. 9 of Africa's 10 reps have reached the round of 32. How significant is this achievement for African football?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's historic, greatly also against the backdrop that's in the recent World Cups, fatally in 2018. None of the African teams, that's 0%, progressed to the next stage of the World Cup. And in 2022 in Qatar, only 40%, that's 2 teams, progressed, including Morocco, who went to the semi-finals for the first time for an African country. So for 90%, that's 9 out of 10 teams to progress to the next stage, is really significant for African football. Also because it is an expanded World Cup, and like many pundits have said, this is where the World Cup, the original World Cup, actually begins, because this is now the round of 32, which originally would have been the number of teams that compete in the World Cup. But sincerity, it's a very great achievement for African football to be alive today, to see 9 teams out of 10 progress to the next stage.
And this achievement that you talk about, do you think it proves that African football has truly come of age, or do teams still have a lot to improve in the latter stages, especially also because you said this is when the real World Cup begins?
Well, there are nuances. It's actually balanced, because you will not ordinarily have Curacao in the World Cup. You will not play Haiti in the World Cup. You're not going to play a lot of teams that will not qualify for the World Cup in the real sense of it. But now you have an opportunity to play against Panama, teams that will not qualify if the World Cup had not been expanded to 48. So to say it is a growth for African football, in one sense, yes, of course, you've progressed. On paper, these are the number of teams that have made it to the next round. But also to test the real quality will depend on how they play at this level, the knockout stages. This is where the real test on organization begins. This is where tactical discipline and resilience will be tested. So even though I would say it's a growth and progress for African football, I would want to see them progress past this stage.
Yeah, so people will say that anything is possible in football, but if you look at the round of 32 and the teams that are there, which countries do you realistically see progressing to the round of 16, and why?
Well, I think the team with the best opportunity to progress, to me, will be Egypt. They've not lost a game. They look like a very solid side from the group stages. And they face Australia, who have not been, they've been nomadic in the World Cup. They just get to this stage and get eliminated. To face them, the opposition is not that strong based on the statistics and the number of times that Australia have made it out of the group stage, even up to this level. So Egypt, I would tip them. It's quite unfortunate to see Morocco who are Africa's best bets at this World Cup, come up against Netherlands. But it's not difficult for Morocco. They are very organized side. The semi-finalists in the last World Cup, the team has been intact. Even in the group stages, they faced Brazil and were the dominant side. So coming up against Netherlands will be very tricky. But I also tip Morocco to advance. Ivory Coast also have an opportunity. I mean, not a very strong opposition in there. So there are sides that can really make it to the next stage. But a lot of them are also coming up against very tough oppositions.
You didn't mention Ghana's name. You don't think we can progress from there?
Well, you would want to look at the form of Colombia. I mean, if you ask, you want to be analytical before bias. I think Colombia are very, like they say in American sports, they are a sleeper side. I don't think many people have watched them before pointing out the reason why they want to face Colombia. Their team is a very solid side. Look, they've played in 3 games and they've dominated in 2. They've had an average possession of 60, including playing against some of their top oppositions. And if you look at their squad, I don't think they will be a cheap opposition for Ghana. We have a 35-40% chance of progressing. But like you said, football, the unpredictability of football, in a sense, is why we are being optimistic. But they're also a very solid side. If I rank teams that will qualify to the next stage and being, very analytical before bias, I would think that Ghana will have a slight chance of progressing. Colombia is a very solid side. If we put our axes together, we may sail through, but I wouldn't want to be complacent and say it's a walkover.
And talking about walkovers, we know South Africa is also playing Canada tonight. Is that likely also to play there?
Well, Canadian football has seen a massive transformation with the infusion of players of African descent, and their organization 4 or 5 years before this World Cup has seen them culminate in their results. They've had chopped 6-0 against Qatar and all the other good results. I think South Africa will suffer today. It will not be easy for them to progress, especially with the fan base behind Canada. It will be a very tall order for South Africa to progress, in my opinion.
And maybe my final one, do you think that this could be the tournament where an African country finally reaches the finals or even wins the World Cup?
Anything is possible, but I would not want to point out the resurrection of dead people. Everything is possible, but I've not seen some predictions in that context, especially looking at how we have performed. Football is unpredictable, but there are some things that are also very predictable. For an African team to win it will be a very tall order. It will be a miracle. And if I'm expecting a miracle, of course, yes, then Morocco have gotten closer. But let me be very sincere. If they get to the semi-final, it will be an achievement. Final will be historic. Winning it will be a miracle.
So, Sadiq, on that tangent of miracles, we've also seen a lot of prophecies at play in this World Cup. How do you receive these prophecies? Well,
I have said many times, I don't see the relationship between football and godly predictions or divine interventions. It's got nothing to do. That's my opinion. And if you want your religious followers to entirely get embarrassed, you can join predictions of elections and football. I think many of these prophecies have come as a result of fame, people wanting fame and all that. But for instance, Kweku Bronsam, who has predicted that he put a curse on Harry Kane. I spoke to him in 2014 ahead of our game against Portugal. He plays a curse on Ronaldo. Ronaldo scored. Kweku Bronsam himself formed a football team. It collapsed after 2 years. These things had no place in football. If it will happen, it will happen. Just prepare your team and go and play. All these prophecies, I think most of them end up in embarrassment, and they are also too proud to eat the humble pie. Football has no relationship with these predictions and divine relationships.
Right, Sina, my last one to you. Cape Verde is playing Egypt. What are your predictions? What do you see going into that match? Cape Verde, Argentina, rather.
Argentina.
Yeah,
it will be a very fascinating game for the neutrals. Of course, I think Cape Verde will stand their grounds in this and not be a pushover. But Argentina, wait. Cape Verde have gotten this far. Their first time qualifying and getting this far is even an achievement. I would want them to go past Argentina, but I mean, Argentina are not going to be a pushover. They are very well drilled. I wish them well, but I don't think it will be an easy task for Cape Verde to progress.
Right. Thank you for talking to us. We're all looking forward to all of these matches and all the excitement that it brings us. Sadiq Adams is a sports analyst. This is Weekend Central on TV3. Let's do some more stories. And following a wave of head-on collisions that claimed at least 14 lives and injured dozens this past April, the Kintampo Divisional MTTD Command has erected 8 giant high-visibility signposts across the stretch's most accident-prone block spots. The initiative is aimed at improving road safety, and local drivers have praised the signpost as a vital life-saving measure that could help reduce crashes and save lives.
The Kintampo-Tamale Highway has for years claimed many lives and left many injured. In early April 2026 alone, a pair of horrific crashes on the Dawadawa and Tehiwe cross sections of the highway claimed 13 lives and left 45 others seriously injured after passenger buses collided head-on with cargo trucks. Barely a week later, mid-April saw another fatal crash near the Tafo gas station when a commercial minibus smashed into a stationary cement truck, killing 1 and severely traumatizing 11 others. In the midst of all this, long-distance drivers frequently complained that they are left completely blind to dangerous spots on this highway. In a proactive move to end the continuous loss of lives, the Kintampo Divisional MTTD Command has erected 8 giant signposts on the highway, alerting drivers to take extra caution when plying these accident-prone areas.
From Jema to Kadresu area, the speed of accidents on our roads, it's not easy. We've been losing a lot of lives on this road. So based on that, we made a decision to raise these signposts at vantage positions or accident-prone places. Some people call it black spots, where most accidents do occur. So we raise it from the entrance of the waterfalls to Dawadawa number 2. We're able to raise 8 signposts with the inscription slow down accident-prone area.
For local drivers who navigate the highway daily, the intervention is timely and necessary.
Actually, it will help a lot because looking at the pictures that they have posted, if even you cannot read and write, at least with the signs alone will tell you that there is danger ahead. And since the commander have placed these placards and other things on the road, we have seen a lot of changes on we the road users. So in fact, it's a good initiative.
That's a very good move, and it will help us in a lot of ways. I'll also urge drivers to take their time on the road, because if you're not speeding, when the accident happens, the effect will not be too immense. As this new signs stand guard over the highway's deadliest black spots, the hope is that greater visibility will encourage greater caution, helping to save lives on the road that has witnessed far too many tragedies.
On our roads, motorists and commuters along the Tarkwa to Daman corridor have begun to experience some reprieve following the recent cave-in of a segment of the $27 million Abosu to Bumpieso Highway. Residents have linked the incident to a disused mining pit that was left behind years ago.
Constructed by Goldfields Ghana in 2019 at a cost of $27 million, the 33-kilometer road provides vital connectivity for residents and commuters across the Pristahuni Valley and Tarkwa Nsoye municipalities, while also serving as a key link between the western and central regions. However, on Wednesday, June 24, a portion of the Abosu to Bompieso stretch collapsed, a development that dealt a heavy blow to the many motorists and commuters who depend on the route.
How I know the bands and I'm a traffic active because I 1 week. And car into me call to say the air. You tell bands also no. Pay for an answer to now, may a day. On by a issue is in 3 days. And no multimedia.
Traffic beam, Kaka almost stop paying 1 hour free, new Valiba. It was 1 hour free. I bought syllabus, so almost stop paying for a minute and send one more trial.
Residents have alleged that the construction crew encountered an abandoned mining pit left over from years during the construction phase. Though the pit was subsequently filled, locals believe the recent torrential rains played a decisive role in the structural failure.
If you look at the nature of the hole beneath the road, that is what you can say. But it isn't something that I can say was done 10, 15 years ago. No. It's an old addict that has been there for ages. But it's because the first construction that was done, they failed to identify that spot and give it that sort of enforcement. You understand? So that is how come that part of the road, because of this heavy downpour these days and erosion and what have you, is what caused the caving.
Following a swift intervention from Daman Mines, the collapsed section was filled within a day, restoring temporary access for commuters and motorists. However, our visit to the site revealed that while the original cave-in has been patched, a neighboring stretch of the road has now developed significant cracks, raising safety concerns for road users. The assembly member for the Bompieso electoral area, Francis Asiedu Mensah, indicated that plans for an alternative route are well advanced.
What they've done now, I think for sure, is a temporary solution. So they are now looking at a more permanent solution for the road. So according to the discussion that we had, they said they're trying to have alternative route for the road users. That is what can enable them to have that space to be able to dig out all the affected parts and fill it with boulders before they put the asphalt on it.
Irama Smith, TV3 News, Bompieso, Western Region.
June is Men's Health Month, a time to encourage men to pay closer attention to their health. But while many work tirelessly to provide for their families, routine medical checkups often take a backseat. Health experts say that mindset may be allowing silent conditions such as hypertension and diabetes to go undetected. Safwa Baini reports.
Every day, thousands of Ghanaian men wake up with one goal: to provide for their families. In the process, many put their own health last. What begins as an occasional headache, constant fatigue or dizziness is often brushed aside until it becomes something far more serious.
For many of the men we spoke to, a hospital visit only becomes necessary when they are seriously unwell.
I go to the hospital only when I'm not feeling well,
But why?
Yeah. It's because, when you are going to do a checkup, you have to pay extra money for it. There isn't anything like you have your ID card, so you can just come and check up and you leave. You need to pay, and since I don't have enough money for that, I don't go at all.
I feel okay. But unless I become sick before I go to.
Health experts say many non-communicable diseases, NCDs, develop silently. In Ghana, they account for 43% of all deaths, with major NCDs such as heart disease, stroke, diabetes, cancer, and respiratory disease becoming common in health facilities. One man, however, decided not to wait.
4th June happens to be my birthday, so I went to check up. And I am still going through the test. But so far, so good. I think that some people don't want to know even their health conditions because sometimes that even brings you even more stress and more pressure. But sometimes when you go and then they tell you that you have BP, your BP is so high, you have sugar, your sugar is so high, you have this, you have that, come back, go and do this test, go and do that test. Then you begin to go through a lot more stress.
The experience, he says, has changed the way he lives.
When I went to the hospital 4th June and they told me that my BP is high, I wasn't happy about it at all. So I've taken life easier, even though when I entered the pastorate, it wasn't easy. But after some time, I began to learn how to relax, and I've been relaxing.
Conversations with many of the men we spoke to earlier revealed a common pattern. Routine health checks are often postponed because of work, financial pressures, or simply the belief that I will be fine.
I don't go to the hospital because I am just fine, and it's been natural health.
I don't have time for hospital visits because of work. I usually buy medicine from the pharmacy since hospital procedures take too long.
It's a waste of time.
Health experts warn that this mindset can allow silent conditions like hypertension and diabetes to progress unnoticed. Dr. Jacqueline Thompson, an NCD coordinator for Greater Accra and lifestyle medical physician, says the rise in recorded cases among men does not necessarily mean more men are developing these diseases.
We are picking up more cases because it's been there. Men naturally have a poor health-seeking behavior. So right now that we are going out there to go and say that we are screening them. We are going out intentionally to go and screen them. That's why we are picking up more of the cases of the NCDs in men. And now in our culture as men, if there's anything happening to you, you have to be macho. You don't have to reveal the fact that there's something happening to you. So unless there is something seriously happening to them, they'll keep it to themselves and try to manage it.
She says many of these conditions have existed for years, but too many men delayed in seeking medical attention. Beyond delayed hospital visits, everyday lifestyle habits are also contributing to the burden.
Generally, our lifestyle has changed. So people are indulging in more unhealthy eating habits. And the men usually would go for, the tobacco, alcohol, eating out, and things like that. These lifestyle-related diseases, we are talking about having a healthy diet. Generally, we are eating more processed foods than we used to eat before. So it has to be eating healthier, balanced meals. Having less stress also helps with preventing these NCDs. And then we need to do more physical activity. These days, doing desk jobs, we tend to sit, have a sedentary lifestyle.
Experts say many of these conditions are preventable, and when detected early, they can be managed. But that begins with one decision: to stop suffering in silence.
As Ghana marks Men's Health Month, perhaps it's time for more men to see seeking medical care not as a sign of weakness, but as an act of strength. Safa Bwahini, TV3 News, Accra.
And away from that, a planned ban on styrofoam products by January 2027 could plunge Ghana's plastic industry into crisis, according to presidents of the Ghana Plastic Manufacturers Association, Ebo Boche. But before the ban takes effect, what alternatives are some Ghanaians using in preparedness of the ban? Here's reports by Nura Mohammed.
Announced that Ghana will officially ban the production, importation, distribution, sale and use of polystyrene foam products from January 1, 2027. Aside the serious health risks associated with the use of plastics and styrofoam in serving hot meals, the environmental consequences are just as dire.
Styrofoam plastics contain what we call polystyrene, which is the primary building block, of which styrene is the main component. And styrene has been shown to have cancer-causing properties, as well as the potential to cause nerve damage and genetic damage. Also, over time, if consumed, especially when used for hot food and oily or fatty foods, it accelerates the leaching process. So it makes the styrene leach faster into the food. And over time, this can cause kidney damage.
According to data from the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ghana produces 1.6 million tons of solid waste annually, which is approximately 4,400 tons daily. This includes both plastic and styrofoam waste. Comfort is a corporate worker, and every day, she carries a bowl from home to buy food. She keeps the bowl in a reusable tote bag.
It's cheaper, so I don't have to pay for the bowl I use.
Comfort shares her fears over the health risks that chemicals from plastics and styrofoam could pose.
I realized that anytime hot food touches the styrofoam, there's this melting thing that goes on in there. I mean, I don't have the technical terms, but where are all the chemicals going?
Hawa is a wache vendor who uses styrofoam, plastics, leaves and bowls to serve her food. For her, bringing a bowl is a better solution.
The best thing is to be funny bowl and from sometimes a rain season, almost a month in bush, sometimes a dry season, and buying
Meanwhile, the Ghana Plastic Manufacturers Association has strongly opposed the ban, stating that it would cause severe financial losses to both manufacturers and employees. Ebo Botri is the president of the Ghana Plastic Manufacturers Association.
We are not opposing a ban on the styrofoam, but the approach, the timelines are not the best. Our total investment cost is 1.493 billion Ghana cedis. How are we going to get this money to pay the banks? We should get an extension to 1st January 2030. Given 3 years will be enough time for all of us to be able to recover and to reposition ourselves. If governments insist, then we are asking government for a bailout.
The ban is just 6 months away, but the government is yet to provide solutions as well as educate the public about alternatives to the use of styrofoam and plastics. Now, people like Comfort, however, give hope, showing us that Ghanaians can do Sankofa, that is going back to adopting the use of more sustainable ways of packaging our delectable meals. If there is a will, there is a way. Nura Mohammed, TV3 News, Accra.
And that's a beautiful, constructive journalism story there by Nura. It looks at the problem and also solutions available. Time now for a break. We're back shortly.
This July, get ready for stories that will make your heart race. From love and passion to secrets and lies that can ruin everything. Catch the sizzling episodes of Sins and Roses at 4 p.m., Domenica Monteiro at 5 p.m., Be My
and engineering capabilities to confront evolving maritime security threat. He says critical facilities such as the naval shipyard are indispensable to sustaining fleet readiness and guaranteeing a continuous naval presence in the resource-high Gulf of Guinea.
To the Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Godwin Levinos Besson, the Gulf of Guinea, with its vast oil and gas reserves, rich fisheries and strategic international shipping routes, requires an uninterrupted naval presence to safeguard Ghana's maritime interest. He noted that such a presence can only be sustained when naval vessels are consistently maintained, repaired and returned to operational service, making the naval shipyard a strategic national asset. The Navy is also collaborating with development partners to build local technical capacity for vessel refits while pursuing a public-private partnership to establish the local construction of small boats at Sekindi. He welcomed the government's planned acquisition of 2 offshore patrol vessels, additional fast attack craft, and other naval assets, describing the move as timely in addressing emerging maritime security threats in Ghana's territorial waters.
The Navy is negotiating with partners to expand and modernize the shipyard's facilities to dock larger ships and enter the oil and gas fabrication industry. Efforts are currently underway with support from our development partners to train personnel in refitting our own vessels and to operationalize a public-private partnership that will enable the construction of small boats right here in Sekindi. In addition, the government's plans to acquire 2 new offshore patrol vessels, some fast attack crafts, and other naval assets aligns with the Navy's effort to meet contemporary maritime threats in our waters.
He made the remarks during the commissioning and naming of the Naval Shipyard Slipway in honor of retired naval engineer Commander John Arthur Kofi Adiku, in recognition of his distinguished contributions to naval engineering, ship maintenance, and the development of the Ghana Navy. Responding, Commander John Arthur Kofi Adiku, retired, dedicated the honor to generations of officers, sailors, and civilian staff whose commitment and sacrifice built the naval shipyard into one of the Navy's most important engineering establishments.
The future growth and success of the shipyard will depend on your ability to build upon the achievements of the past while embracing the opportunities and demands of the future. To the young technical officers, ratings, and defense civilian staff present here today, I encourage you to take pride in your profession and remain committed to excellence. The future of this shipyard rests in your hands.
Ghana's struggling textile and apparel industry could become a major engine of job creation, industrialization, and economic transformation if the country adopts the right policies and invests in sustainable production. This is the conviction of Professor of Textile Design and Technology at KNUST, Professor Ebenezer Kofi Howard, who believes the sector holds the key to addressing Ghana's unemployment and manufacturing challenges.
Among Ghana's leading manufacturing sectors, the textile industry, according to Professor Howard, has witnessed decades of decline due to trade liberalization, the influx of cheap imports, obsolete machinery, smuggling, and inadequate investment.
The unfortunate reality is that Ghana's apparel industry, due to limited raw material supply from domestic textile firms, rely heavily on imported raw material for production, thereby relinquishing more than 70% of its value chain operation to offshore counterparts, leading to the closure of most domestic textile firms with low productivity levels and high redundancy rate in the subsector.
Delivering his inaugural professorial lecture on the theme, Beyond Clothing, the Nudity of Humanity, how sustainable textiles and apparel industry can rescue Ghana from its socio-economic and environmental quagmire, The professor of textile and design technology at KNUST challenged policymakers to rethink the country's development strategy. He argued that textiles and apparel are more than fashion, describing the industry as a proven catalyst for industrial growth, value addition, and sustainable livelihoods across the world.
The strategic economic importance of the global T&A sector lies not only in its dollar value, but also in its role in sustaining global consumption and supporting social stability, with great potential to transform lives through employment, preservation of culture and tradition, promotion of gender roles, economic empowerment, and social sustainability.
The professor also expressed concern over the growing influx of second-hand clothing, saying it continues to undermine local producers while creating serious environmental challenges through textile waste.
Evidence from Kantamanto Market, some coastal communities and landfills in Ghana depicts the extent to which second-hand clothes, aka Obronyuewu, have exposed Ghana's environmental nudity. There is therefore no controversy that Ghana is environmentally naked, as it has become a dumping site for second-hand clothing.
To reverse the trend, Professor Howard has this proposal.
I strongly recommend the T&A industry as a pragmatic driver toward the realization of the 24-hour economy policy. I am optimistic that the implementation of my proposed policy framework to establish T&A firms in all the 16 regions in Ghana will be a game changer. The sustenance of T&A in production depends largely on the availability and quality of raw material. It is therefore economically prudent for Ghana to develop a sustainable raw material base for both natural and synthetic fibers. My expert vision calls for restructuring the Cotton Development Authority with a clear mandate to regulate, coordinate, and promote the cotton sector for sustained growth.
The professor of textile and design technology believes Ghana can emulate countries such as Bangladesh, Vietnam, and China, where strategic investment in the textile and apparel sector has generated millions of jobs and accelerated economic growth.
And from one university to the other, the University of Energy and Natural Resources has renewed calls for stronger investment in digital skills and artificial intelligence as Ghana pursues its 24-hour economy agenda. At this year's Tech Fair, university leaders stress that the country's future competitiveness will depend on innovation, technology, and a digitally skilled workforce.
Tech Fair brought together government officials, technology experts, entrepreneurs, researchers, policymakers, and students to discuss the future of Ghana's digital economy. Addressing participants, Vice-Chancellor of UNE, Professor Elvis Asare-Bediako, described the fair as a strategic investment in Ghana's digital transformation. Professor Asare-Bediako asserted that the platform has empowered thousands of young people with digital skills and industry connections while helping position Sunyani, Bono region, and Ghana as emerging technology hub. He added that a resilient 24-hour economy requires professionals who can develop digital solutions, secure digital infrastructure, and manage intelligent systems around the clock.
Across the globe, economies are being reshaped by digital technologies. Artificial intelligence, data science, cybersecurity, cloud computing, blockchain, robotics, and software engineering are redefining how business operates and how nations compete. The future economy will not be powered by natural resources alone. It will be powered by knowledge, by innovation, and by digital skills. As Ghana pursues the vision of a resilient 24-hour economy, we must recognize that such an economy cannot thrive without a digitally skilled workforce.
Professor Peter Apiahene, head of the Department of Information Technology and Decision Sciences at UNE, called for urgent national AI policies to promote responsible use in education, protect Ghana's data, and support the development of locally trained AI models.
As we prepare for this inevitable AI revolution, we must confront the hard truth. That is, we must take deliberate steps to achieve AI sovereignty. We must own our own data. We must build and train AI models using our own local data sets, reflecting our own values, culture, and economic realities.
Professor Piahene urged universities to embrace responsible AI use by treating it as a learning tool rather than a means of cheating. He called for AI governance framework to be adopted before the end of the academic year to keep graduates globally competitive.
We must stop treating AI as a cheating tool. AI is not a taboo in academia. Students should be actively allowed and encouraged to use AI in their learning processes.
You're still watching Weekend Central. We have more after this break. Stay with us.
This Ghana Moment is brought to you by kind courtesy of SportyBet. Bet smarter, play SportyBet. Star Oil, quality and affordable fuels for all. MTN, everywhere you go. Kivo, a taste of Ghana. Pepsodent, do the two.
This July, get ready for stories that will make your heart race. From love and passion to secrets and lies that can ruin everything. Catch the sizzling episodes of Sins and Roses at 4 p.m., Domenica Monteiro at 5 p.m., Be My Sunshine at 6 p.m., and Avenida Brazil at 7 p.m. Central Africa.
Called for stronger collaboration among stakeholders to combat drug abuse in the region.
Regional Narcotics Commission suggests that a strategic shift in enforcement is successfully curbing the drug menace. In November 2025, the Commission apprehended 4 individuals for possession of tramadol. During recent commemorations for World Drug Day, Senior Narcotics Control Officer Sadiq Mikdad reported a decline in both drug smuggling and local consumption.
Comparing it to that of last year, there's been and the subsequent ones we are still doing this year. It has really pushed down the intake, especially the imports from wherever it was coming from, that is Togo. So for that matter, finding the drug to even consume has become very difficult. We are still doing it, so we just realized that we are not finding it again like we used to do. It's just a few that we chance on.
He attributed the success to a collaborative security framework involving the Narcotics Control Commission, the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Immigration Service, and youth groups from Gambaga and Nalerigu. The Commission continues its efforts to intercept illegal shipments and prosecute those responsible.
Well, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, in the Bono and Ahafo regions has reported significant achievement in the first half of the year. The Commission says its focus has gone beyond tariff setting to include active consumer complaint management and improving the quality of utility services.
The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission in the Bono and Ahafo regions has resolved all 577 complaints received in the first half of the year, achieving a 100% resolution rate. According to PRO Juliana Entry, the Commission secured 108,507.87 Ghana cedis in billing adjustments for wrongly charged consumers and recovered 9,077.75 Ghana cedis from consumers with unpaid bills or illegal connections, reinforcing consumer protection and accountability in utility services.
These were complaints that came to us. These consumers were wrongfully billed, and then they came to the Commission, and we helped for these bills to be recorrected. And so this money was given back to consumers who were wrongfully billed. And then we also have a recovery figure of 9,077.75 Ghana cedis. This is a recovery figure for utilities. Now, these are consumers who were owing utilities, and some had also carried out illegal connection. So they reported these consumers to us, and the Commission helped for these consumers to pay these monies back to the utility companies.
The PURC has intensified consumer engagement through its listening tour and complaint clinic, community radio programs, and Yankasa with PURC. It is also educating consumers on its tariff reckoner and electricity consumption estimator app, with outreach already covering institutions, churches, and communities across the Bono and Ahafo regions.
The Commission has come up with this app to help consumers know how to calculate the right amount to pay for their electricity and water bills with the changes of tariffs that has been coming up. So this app basically helps consumers to calculate the right amount to pay for their bills. And we've carried out this education tour just to let consumers know about the app and then how they can use the app. We are going to do it to the end of the year. So definitely before the year ends, it's going to reach every consumer in the region.
The Commission says it will also sustain its collaboration with the media to educate the public on its mandate and encourage consumers to seek redress through the appropriate channels.
We'll continue carrying out our monitoring programs to make sure that consumers are satisfied. And then wherever we find any issue, we are going to address it head on. But then one thing we always advise is that when you have an issue, you should go to the utility company and report first. Go there, report your concern. When you don't get a satisfactory response, please come to the Commission and let us also do our bit to help resolve your issue for you.
Claude Kumi Ebisa, TV3 News.
Well, National Chairman hopeful for the new Patriotic Party, NPP, Paul Afoko, has called on supporters of the party to put aside their internal divisions and unite for a common purpose. He warned that continuous infighting in the party could further weaken the party's electoral fortunes.
Addressing constituency executives in Wa as part of his campaign for the NPP's national chairmanship bid, Paul Afoko attributed the party's declining parliamentary representation to what he described as years of internal exclusion, functionalism, and failure to prioritize party unity. He recalled that during his tenure as national chairman, the NPP secured 169 parliamentary seats before dropping to 137 in the subsequent election, a decline he blamed on the party's decision to sideline some of its own members.
The 169 seats that I left behind for NPP, from 169 to 87. Why? Because we were saying we don't like this one, disqualify him. we don't like this man, oh, we don't like his faith, we want to protect this person. We are not doing the thing power wants.
And that's it by way of Weekend Central on TV3, which is also live on DSTV channel 279. My name is Grace Hamo-Ajiman. Thank you for joining us. Log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. Good afternoon.